sapanta. The real truth of Dharma is hidden within the heart of the pure devotee. Therefore, whatever path has been traversed by these Mahajanas, these Acharyas, and their spiritual master especially, that is the path to follow. That's why a guru is so necessary, and why Krishna endorses that tradition in Bhagavad Gita. They help us with these concrete, practical details. It's an important thing. Is that helpful? Okay, anything else?
Anything about life? You stay in Vrindavan for more than half of the year.
Yeah, when it gets too hot, then we come and tour America.
So, something about the life in Vrindavan.
Oh, well, I've told you something about life in Vrindavan.
Krishna book.
Read Krishna book. This is the real Vrindavan. It's not necessarily Prakat so much. I mean, 10 years ago I was living at Govardhan Hill. And it was a shocking realization I had, because I realized that the Krishna consciousness practiced externally is not so explicit at Govardhan Hill than it is in Vrindavan. Even though our Shastras teach that spiritually Govardhan Hill is actually spiritually more potent than Vrindavan even, in a sense. But when you actually go there, you don't see it. People don't wear tilak that much like they do in Vrindavan. There are not that many temples, and you don't hear the bells ringing and the arati, and the Krishna consciousness generally is just not that explicit at Govardhan, believe it or not. And so this is the trend of the future, unfortunately, because even Vrindavan is becoming like that. There's a McDonald's in Mathura, and actually it's an interesting thing. One disciple of Bhakti Vikas Swami told me that he has a preaching center. He's Indian, and he's got a preaching center at Govardhan. And he told me that people all the time ask me that, who are you to start a preaching center at Govardhan? These people are all Nityasiddhas. And I said, he said, I have to tell them that I'm sorry, but these Nityasiddhas are patronizing McDonald's. So I have to do something, you see. Therefore I said, sabhi lupt ho raha hai.
The Gurukul, now you do the Gurukul there, how is it?
We have an association called Giriraj Publishing, which has been through several stages of metamorphosis. In the old days, that means 10 years ago by modern standards, Gopiparanadhana Prabhu was settled at Govardhan, and he opened what he called Srimad Bhagavatam Vidyapitham. He wanted to teach Srimad Bhagavatam, and in order to impart the Srimad Bhagavatam lessons that only he could impart, he wanted to teach Sanskrit as well as how to read the commentaries and other aspects of our traditional educational system, in the traditional manner as well. Shortly before his departure, most of his senior students who were brahmacharis got married, and it's very difficult to live at Govardhan, as I mentioned, for other reasons even. So they shifted to Vrindavan, but they also split into two wings, which is the publishing part and the educational part. So I'm actually in the publishing part more than the education part, so I'm not teaching that much. But I'm working in translation, and the idea is to train future translators from the younger generation for the future of the BBT publications, translations from our acharyas especially, because that's very, very important. So many questions that we have are answered in the literature if we just take the time to actually read it and study it. Even in Srila Prabhupada's books, it's practically a lifetime to really assimilate everything that Prabhupada has given. But even to understand Prabhupada's books, it's very helpful to refer to the other acharyas, because they sometimes go into detail where Prabhupada doesn't. You see? Is that okay? Anything else? Yes, again.
You said at one point, that, science kind of perpetual ignorance because it's like they say something and then they change it.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that that's a generalization of science at large, because there's many like real life applications at work, and there's a lot of facts in science. So it's not exactly perpetual ignorance. We're actually, there's knowledge. It's slowly like there's slow knowledge. There's slowly we're getting more knowledge, and I feel that in religion it's static. There's no change. So that's more like comparatively that's more like perpetual ignorance.
Everyone has his opinion. Ignorance, you've made 2 points basically. Number one, science is constantly advancing. I'm not convinced of that, Let me no offense to the doctors. When my mother was young, they told her that for some reason her hair all fell out when she was 13, and they never really explained that, but they said that she probably would not be able to have children. She had 2 sets of twins and one boy in between. She had a massive stroke and heart attack in 2006 when I was visiting, I thought for only 2 weeks. And I ended up staying for about 4 or 5 years taking care of her until she left this world as a result of that. But in 2006 they told us that she had only 2 or 3 days to live. And she left this world in 2011. So, there's a lot, I myself take advantage of allopathy when I have to, and it's very, I'm not knocking the profession or the benefits of it. But the point is that because it's based on this pratyaksha praman, mixed with a little bit of anuman, it is necessarily imperfect, whereas what we're teaching is perfect instead of static. The reason it's not static is because it's dynamic. The application is constantly changing. The realizations are constantly expanding. They're being restated, but in different ways relative to the time, place, and circumstance. And that's dynamic, it's not static.
But the knowledge is the same.
Knowledge is eternal.
But
Reality, Krishna defines in the beginning of Bhagavad Gita, na sato vidyate bhavo, na bhavo vidyate sata. That which is real doesn't stop or change. That which is unreal cannot persist, period. So knowledge means static, if you will, but I've demonstrated already that it's not static, it's ecstatic.
But some would argue that
Now let him finish, this is fun.
some would argue that some knowledge in religions is incorrect.
Oh, this is a very good point, yeah, and I would be the first to agree with that. Yeah, I mean, what passes as religion and what passes as knowledge in religion, there's a lot of problems there. I have no doubt about that. Yeah, I mean, religion is, many people believe that religion is one of the main problems in the world, and I've got no problem with that either. But you have to understand on this scientific platform that I'm approaching and trying to explain, you've got to understand religion as it is, as opposed to religion as it isn't. Therefore, it's called Bhagavad Gita as it is. And, people get bogged down in dogmas and in, lifeless traditions and in, pseudo-hypocritical, nonsense that they call religion, there's so many things that we can say about that. Yeah, you've got a point there, and it's appreciable. You had a question?
Yeah, I think he's trying to separate religion from spirituality.
Yeah, this has become a recent thing now. They talk about I'm spiritual but not religious.
Yeah.
Somebody recently sent me an article from, I think, maybe BBC or something that, somebody was actually saying, well, it's actually not even so bad to be religious, as well as spiritual. There's something to say for that as well.
Yeah, the difference is orange juice versus orange drink.
Maybe, I don't know. It's rasa at any rate. Okay, anything else?
And also he says, the light reflects, the sun gives light to moon and moon gives light to us. So actually this is scientific principle, which is also, it comes under Krishna. Because Krishna says, I am the cause of all causes. So science is no different than spirituality. If you go deep.
Well, one thing I've seen is that, you know, for example, in the 1980s, I was in Austin, Texas, and we had a restaurant there, which is about 1 block from the University of Texas and 2 or 3 blocks from the state capitol. So we got university students and politicians coming to the restaurant most of the time. They were getting prasadam every day. They loved the restaurant. One of the people who came to visit us was Dr. George Wald. And Dr. George Wald is, of course, Nobel laureate physicist. And he's now chanting Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare. I mean, I don't know now. This is 20 years ago. He may have passed on, but you know, he was deeply interested in spiritual life, and many mature physicists in the zenith of their career, they actually realized that there are questions that this so-called hard science can't really go into, and I want to know. And where do you go when you're in that, you know, position? It's you know, faith is a wonderful thing. It's often knocked in this world for various reasons, and everything in this world has its hetu. But you know, this is a fact. Sometimes, yeah, please.
I like to say that the scientists that are looking into these fantastic telescopes are looking into the face of God.
That's right. That's what I mean.
In a sense, you can say, I mean, because everything is God. We've described this Soma is Krishna, and the Agni is also Krishna, but that's not Bhagavan realization. If you want to actually have a relationship with the God who dances, then you have to take up bhakti. Who is it who said that? I will never believe in a God who doesn't dance. I think Nietzsche said that. If he dances, then that's okay with me. So our God dances. But you know, if you want to have a personal relationship that satisfies the heart as much as the head, then we have to chant Hare Krishna.
He takes human form. God takes human form.
In a sense. Of course, his so-called human form is always transcendental, but yeah. Okay, otherwise there's no more questions. I think we can stop here. Thank you very much. All glories to Shri Prabhupada.